Well, good morning again, and welcome to November. Here we go, right? In these last, 7 weeks till Christmas? Oh my. Yeah, but before we jump into November, I promised you that I would report on your success for October. Remember our Your Abundant October program? Yeah, all right, drum roll, Meister. These are all the envelopes. As a community, you discovered in Money Finders, found money, not your normal income, $16,802.60. Congratulations. And our community received $1,680.26 of that. We appreciate your generosity. Thank you so much. So I would just say, if it's working for you, we always heard Dr. Phil say, how's that working for you? If it's working, let's keep doing it, right? Yeah, keep doing it. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that's what we're about here, is proving these principles. That's what we're about. So for November, we are talking about all month joy in Thanksgiving. Joy in Thanksgiving, in the gratitude. We'll be looking at that all month. And in our Science of Mind affirmative prayer, our 5 steps, our 4th step is what? Thanksgiving, right? It's gratitude. And it's not that we're being grateful to Spirit for giving us some goodie like a Santa God. It's not that at all. It's grateful for the manifestation of the prayer. It's being grateful in advance of receiving that which we're praying about in form to see it manifested in our life. It's being grateful that we know that the thought, that the request that's made, that the affirmation that's stated is already done. And we're expressing that gratitude and that willingness and that receptivity to it. That's the Thanksgiving step. That's what we're grateful for. So we are looking at that this month, and they say that gratitude is a key element in moving our consciousness to a state of joy and receptivity. Joy and receptivity. And an attitude of gratitude. Who said that? That was Ziglar? Our buddy Zig Ziglar, an attitude of gratitude. Right. It cleans our mind so that we can see the reality, the truth of what's there. We say that all of our good is right here for us now, but we sometimes can't see it. So gratitude is a way that we can cleanse those lenses and we can begin to see the good that is all around us. Much like this idea of Money Finders, looking for the good and praising it, looking for the unexpected and praising it. So this week my talk is being grateful for the little things. Being grateful for the little things as we recognize the small packages. Yeah, recognize the small packages of big blessings in our lives, including our pets, right? The little blessings that they are. And so what is this idea of big and small? Well, big and small is really what? A measurement, right? A comparative measurement, so that we can have some conversation, communication on this is big and this is little and this sort of thing. And it's just a comparative measurement that we use. I'm always amazed when I go to the grocery store and being single, alone, whatever, I want the single serve things sometimes. Well, they're just as expensive as the full size. So now I'm not only looking at comparative size, I'm looking at my value, aren't I? My comparative value on, well, gee, if I'm going to spend X dollars, wouldn't I get the biggest bang for my buck that I can? Well, but I'm also interested in conserving and not wasting. So now I'm looking at a value, aren't I? It's not just size, but it's value that I'm also analyzing in that conversation. So we make choices and decisions around this idea of big and small every day. I'm sure you, like me, face, I'll call them opportunities. I was going to say problems. Opportunities all the time, right? And sometimes we might think this is going to be a big, hairy problem. Oh my gosh. And we make up this story in our head that it's something big and difficult that we have to deal with. And it turns out to be nothing. Well, that was easy. And then the opposite is also true, isn't it? That sometimes we look at something and go, oh, that'll be simple fix. I can do that in no time. And then we get into it, and it goes on, and it's much more complex, much more detailed. We need a different tool. I had Chris come over and do some work at my house, and it's like, one little thing, and maybe it's going to be a big thing, right? It did become a big thing, didn't it? That one, yeah. So we've got to rebuild something we thought was just going to be put a couple of bolts in it. But, it's what happens. It becomes a big project, right? It's going to be a little thing. So we're always looking at this. We're always looking at this and deciding what we're going to do with it. And our reading that Suzanne did for us this morning from Dr. Ernest Holmes, he is the author of The Science of Mind and also the founder of this teaching called Centers for Spiritual Living. And he said in that, God knows form, but not size. God knows form, but not size. Spirit knows the difference between the mountain and the molehill, but knows it as experience and not duration. And he reasons that it would be impossible for Spirit to differentiate between big and small, that, again, Spirit recognizes form, but not size. Now, this was kind of a challenging concept. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it, in our finite mind? It's like, well, no, it's either big or little. It's either a mountain or a molehill, right? But Holmes' idea in this is that if Spirit is truly infinite, which is difficult even for us in our finite mind to get our mind around that, isn't it? When we say something's infinite, we still want to get to the edge of it, to the end of it, even though we say it's infinite, isn't there a stopping point someplace? And the idea of Spirit is, no, there's not. It goes on forever. And that we say that God is all there is, and it creates of itself, so that all that is created of Spirit. So how could something so intelligent that creates of itself judge its creations like we do and measure it, this is big and this is little? Exactly. So it's almost like us with our feet, our toes. Toes are necessary little things on our feet that help us to walk, right? Helps us stay upright. Do we judge our big toe as much better than our little toe because they're different in sizes? Not really. I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you to admit it. Does anybody judge your toes that one's better than the other, right? No. The one that goes to market versus the one that stays home versus the one that had roast beef or the one that had none or the one that did what? Wee, all the way home. That one's just as cool as the one that went to market, right? Yeah, our toes are important, and we don't judge them based on big and small. Now, I had a wonderful experience on Thursday evening. I'm pretty sure I broke my toe. And, I was coming out of the, which one? The one that stayed home. This one stayed home. The middle one, the second one on my right toe. Tell me later. Anyway, I was coming out of the nail salon, and we had that big rainstorm, right? It was all wet in the shopping center, and as I was coming out, I stepped in some water and some slick tile, and I was going down. And as I was going down, I did the old Keystone Cops thing of trying to catch myself, right? And I did catch myself, but not before I went back up on my toes. And I did not realize until I got home how that wasn't nail polish on the end of my toe. So I got home and I went immediately to the internet to figure out how to medically treat this, right? And I did. I did my prayer treatment immediately. And I read about Ice and Elevate, which I did immediately. And then I've been taping them together. But you know what? I'm in heels today, and life is good. Everything's fine. So it's really interesting that, am I grateful? And I'm sure it was partly because of this month of gratitude that I've been preparing. But I immediately went into gratitude that it wasn't worse. It could have been bad. I could have broken an ankle or a knee or a hip or my neck. I mean, it could have been bad if I had taken the full tumble. Somebody could have seen me. Oh, my God. It could have been so many things that it wasn't. And I'm grateful that I was able to go onto the internet, which is filled with so much wonderful information that told me immediately what to do. I mean, I didn't even think about ice and elevate. It wasn't in my consciousness. I prayed, but then ice and elevation seemed to take care of it. So it's an opportunity to be grateful in those times rather than complaining. So complaining. I could have called the shopping center owner and complained to them about how they had slick tile out there and no sign. They should get gutters. They should hand out rubber boots. What's going on, right? And all of my complaining would perhaps have employed a lot of attorneys, consultants, photographers, people to recreate the scene and figure out what's going on. Is that helping the planet? No. Is that elevating the consciousness of the planet? No. Is it healing my toe? No. You know, I have to admit, I thought, I'll take a picture and post it on Facebook. And then I thought, that's the dumbest thing on the world. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, right? But isn't that what we do? Isn't that what we do? We stay focused on the problem instead of focusing on what it is that we want. What I want is healing and dancing shoes. I don't want, flip-flops and taped toes. So I'm not focusing on that. And that's the idea of what we're talking about, is focusing on those small blessings in our life, that it wasn't worse, So when we feel like, why do we feel like we need to complain in the first place? It's kind of universal, isn't it? It's kind of universal. Part of it is, I do think we want to be heard. We want to be heard. But when you're ready to complain, maybe think about a better story. We've had this conversation about making up a better story. Complaining keeps us in the energy of that which we're complaining about, doesn't it? Whereas if we're telling a better story, we can still be heard, but we can tell the story from the perspective of what happened and how we're growing through it, how we're going through it. Not about complaining about the event or situation or person that created that of which we're complaining. So these are some things that we can look at, because we just proved, right, $16,000 later, what we focus on expands. So why would we complain if we know that what we're complaining about is getting expanded in our life? Yeah. Got to go back to Bob Newhart. Just stop it, right? Just stop complaining. Science of Mind teaches us that we need to focus on that which we do want in our life. We don't ignore it. We don't say, that's not there. We just say, I see you, it's there, but I prefer this. It's like ordering a sandwich. Would you like wheat or white? You have a preference. So instead of complaining about what is or what is not in our lives, okay, that's not here yet, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on this and this energy and bringing forward that which it is that I truly want to have in my experience. A good example of this right now is this election that we're going through. If you've been seeing any of the news, you've seen these polls, right? 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, dead heat, even here, over there, right? Back and forth, back and forth. Why do you think that is? I have my theory on that. And I believe it's complete energy. Because we're for our candidate, but buddy, we're just as against the other candidate. And as long as we're holding that energy, that positive and negative energy, everything's going to stay equal. So what if we could let go of the complaining? It's like our meditation this afternoon and Tuesday. Let go of the resistance to that which we don't seek and focus on that which we do. Whichever candidate it is, I don't care. It could be the water control board people that you're most excited about in the election that's local to our community. It doesn't matter. But just recognize the energetic piece of this and what we do when we resist and complain about the other. We're holding that energy right there. We're holding that focus right there. So we can release that and bless the other. Bless the other. Thank God we're in a country where we have the right to choose. Right? Not all countries have that right. There's one candidate and you don't even get to vote for them. They're just there. We have choice. We're blessed with that. Don't downplay that by the standpoint of just holding negative energy against something. Hold your energy for that which you want to see more of, and bless the other. Bless the other. So it has been said that gratitude is the most powerful of all human emotions. It is the genesis of love, joy, and happiness. That's a powerful statement, isn't it? Gratitude. I don't know if you get the Science of Mind magazine, but in it this month, Dr. Ken Gordon has a column in the very front of it, and he's talking about how you cannot be grateful and unhappy at the same time. I invite you to try it. Cannot be grateful and unhappy at the same time. Now, is that a powerful tool to have in your toolbox? Yeah. When we're feeling upset, unhappy, if we can get ourselves trained, create that new neural pathway in our brain, get ourselves trained to go immediately and find something to be grateful for. Whatever, something small, something big, something to be grateful for, we can begin to transform our unhappiness into joy. And that is the joy in Thanksgiving that we're talking about this month. Gratitude is creative. It is creative because it opens us up to that divine flow through which creativity flows through us. And it's particularly creative when we are grateful in advance. When we can be grateful in advance. Now, we throw those words out, but it can be difficult to do, can it? If we're dealing with something that's not here, and that's kind of well, it's not the toughest either, because you may be dealing with something that is right here and in your face that's difficult to deal with. Either situation, because we're so focused on it, it can be difficult to get ourselves to move into that gratitude before we see it in form place. That's the power of our prayers. That's the power of our practitioners. If you're in that place, if you're dealing with something in your life that is not moving for you, not moving in the direction that you want it to go, and you keep coming back to, but it's not here yet, or but it's still here, if you're dealing with either of those, I recommend call one of our Science of Mind, religious science practitioners, and talk with them. They will know and hold the truth for you. And they will assist you in transforming that and moving through that and being in that state of gratitude. They will help you understand in your own mind ways that you can begin to be grateful and experience more gratitude and transform that which you're seeking to see differently in your life. So if we believe in faith and or science, you know, there sometimes can be a separation there, but we're seeing that come closer and closer together today. Both are proving that gratitude is a key to happiness and joy. Both are proving this. We see it everywhere. All you have to do is Google gratitude or gratitude and happiness, and you'll get millions of responses on the research and the studies and the things that are happening around that. A couple of quick practices that we can do just to kind of apply this stuff. It's not our principles yet. But how we could do that is if you are seeking to attract people into your life, friends, relationship, any of that, appreciate them. And know that they appreciate you before they ever show up. Before they ever show up. Appreciate them. If you're starting a new job, a new relationship, or starting to look for a relationship, or, going home for the holidays. Anybody going home for the holidays? Got that energy going on where you're like already going, wow, my family, but I've got to go. All right, we hear that. But what if you begin today preparing yourself, preparing the road for that, and the experience, and just knowing and claiming in gratitude the love that is shared in that dynamic this year, that it's different this year. They've all changed, right? They've all changed. It's going to be different this year. And hold that in gratitude and see what happens when you get there. That is the expectation, and setting your intention in advance for that. If you're in a situation now that is less than delightful, whatever that might be, less than delightful, give gratitude for the healing even before it's revealed. Give gratitude for the healing even before it's revealed. If you are in a profession, if you're looking for a job, how about knowing before you ever go in that the interviewer is looking at your resume and salivating, going, I can't wait to meet this person. They're the perfect one for my job. And just so excited about meeting you and you them. What if you knew that going in? Imagine the power of the interview. Imagine the power of the interview. And if you want to have a healthy body, we've talked about this. Every cell in our body and the consciousness that surrounds it, and the tissues in our body, and just that knowingness and the gratitude for our bodies and the beautiful functionality that they have. Just holding that place of gratitude. So the key is to not wait for the day when you have it all. Then I'll be grateful. That's not how it works. The key is to be grateful in advance. To be grateful in advance. My mama or Captain Kangaroo, I'm not sure which, one of the two or both maybe, always said what? Say please and thank you. Learn your pleases and please and thank yous. Learn your please and thank yous. Well, that's only part of the mantra, because we were taught say please before it comes, say thank you after it comes. We're going to shift that a little bit and say, hey, let's say thank you before it ever shows up. Because that is like our affirmative prayer, and being grateful in advance and receptive and knowing that it's already done in the mind of spirit, that it's already available in thought, and that thoughts do become things. It's first an idea before it's a music stand, right? That's how it works. So when we can get ourselves to make that adjustment in our minds, thank you before it ever shows up. Wow, big shift. So what little things can we do in our life to help facilitate this? We're going to talk about practicing the principles this morning. This slide will be up at the end of service if you want to take a picture or capture that. So number one is pause. Just pause. Right? Everybody has a pause. My front row is going pause like pets. Okay, pause. P-A-U-S-E, or pause if the dog's going to help you pause. But we need to be still, don't we? We get moving so fast and going so fast and so caught up, and the energy just spirals. Sometimes we just need to hit that pause button and just take a breath, slow down, look around. So I'm going to invite you to play with me for just a minute. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for in this moment? Is it that breath? Is it this chair? Is it the person next to me? Is it the coffee or the tea I had for breakfast? Is it the automobile that brought me here? Home, family, health? Open your eyes. Do you ever think about those things in the moment? Do you ever think about your coffee as you're making it in the morning? You certainly do if the coffee's run out, don't you? Oh my gosh, there's no coffee. What am I going to do? That's when we notice, isn't it? Not when it's there every day and we're making it and it's soothing us, or the tea or whatever it might be. Yeah. Noticing those little things in our life that just make life better. Number two, write it down. Our gratitude journals, we started those. There's some back on the back table. If you were not able to start with us when we started the program, you can start now. It's 40 days. We're in day 18. We're about halfway through, and it wraps up on Thanksgiving Day. And that's the last day of this particular one. But I encourage you to keep a journal going. I know many of you started this last year and have continued it throughout the year, and that it works for you. It is a beautiful, beautiful practice to pause at the end of the day and say, this is what I'm grateful for this day. This is what I'm grateful for. It is transformative. Number 3, speak it. Speak it. Speak your gratitude. And one really simple, easy way to do that is a blessing of our meals. Most of us probably grew up doing that as kids. Bless this food to the nourishment of our body and us to thy service, right? We've all heard that blessing. But was it Meister Eckhart that said, if the only prayer you ever utter is thank you, it's enough. So when the plate is set before you or you set it in front of you, just take a moment to look at the food and say thank you. Just that simple blessing. Thank you to the service staff if you happen to be at a restaurant. Thank you. Those are prayers. Speak your gratitude. And number 4, time in the silence. Be still. Be still. If it's 3 minutes or 3 hours, take time every day to be in that stillness. To be still and know that Spirit is in, through, and as you. Relieves stress, improves health, and definitely improves our attitudes. So I want to wrap up my talk today with a poem that's actually the words of a 17th century Anglican hymn called All Things Bright and Beautiful. You may have heard it. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, God made their glowing colors, God made their tiny wings. The purple-headed mountain, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky, the cold wind in winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, God made them every one. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, God is them all. So please join me as we anchor this in prayer this morning, as we go within in recognition that God is all there is, in the little and in the big as we define it. But God is all there is. It is the power, the presence, the essence, the infinite love, the intelligence, wisdom. It is in, through, and as all that has ever been, is, shall be, and beyond. And we know that all of that is here now present in this room, for there's truly no place that God is not. It's all right here, present in each and every moment, each and every breath, and in, through, and as each one of us, as an expression of it, individualized and unique in that diversity of who and what we are. So from that place of knowingness, that place of unity, of wholeness, I speak my word for and about each one of us here today, knowing, claiming, and accepting that each of us is whole, perfect, and complete in that divine revelation of Spirit. And that we attract to us those things, people, places, events, situations, feelings, whatever it might be that is necessary to us, that we desire, that desire of Spirit flowing through us, whatever that is, that opening is created and is flowing to, through, and as us now. And I bless each one that is not with us today, knowing that they're in their perfect right places, doing exactly what they need to be doing. And I also speak a word of blessing to our beautiful Donna Racento, as she has gone on into the next adventure of life as the beauty that she is, as the love that she is, reuniting in the wholeness and the oneness that she is. We are blessed for knowing her and sharing her awareness. So it is in great gratitude, great thanksgiving, great joy that I accept this. For I know it is done. I know that the words that I speak are only spoken because they're in the mind of Spirit already and already made manifest. We just simply await their form. So I release this, I let it be, I let it go, and we anchor together by saying, and so it is.